Hey folks, welcome back to Game Garbage, where we take a look at games, chat about the gaming news in the industry, and of course, stream for fun. Today we're talking about the Steam Machine. We're also going to go over pricing, not just for the US, but a few other places. We're also going to go through some benchmarks. We're also going to take a look at kind of maybe what the equivalent would be on Newegg for an actual desktop PC. And then I will also link the GamersNexus video down below, which is almost an hour, but it is a very good video. I suggest you check it out if you want more information. But just real quick, we're looking at $1,000, 1128 with the controller, and then the 2 terabyte version is 1350, and then with the controller is 1428. Now, what is nice is that you do save a little bit of money if you do get a bundle, and but they did also say that if you're going to be wanting to get a controller now at this point, it's going to be very difficult because they're going to be packaging what they have with the Steam Machine. And so, yeah, you could be waiting until sometime in 2027 to actually get your Steam controller when you buy one, which is kind of insane. The other thing is that they're kind of doing like a lottery about this. So some people, when you get into your queue, you have to have a Steam account and had to have been active like before April 27th of this year. But yeah, you'll basically get an email whether you're randomly selected to actually get a reservation or be in the waiting queue. So those people are going to get stuff first. And then it'll be basically first come, first serve for those that are interested. But these are the prices, which are pretty crazy. And then when we take a look at other countries, just the base version again is 1,500 Canada, 140 euros, and etc. Which it just gets way more expensive. Yeah, 2,000 Canada basically for a 2 terabyte with the Steam controller, which is insane. And an Aussie is 2,200. When we also take a look at some of the benchmarks here, we have Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, and it doesn't do overly good. This is 1440p Ultra, doesn't say ray tracing or anything like that, but yeah, 21 average frames per second is really not that great. This is some of the pictures from GamersNexus, and yeah, for a lot of these, this is basically looking at 1080p and then closest equal to this actual Steam machine with what we're getting. And yeah, for a lot of these, it's actually the 3060. There is one that's actually the RX 7600, and there are a little bit worse is the 6600 with ray tracing for Black Myth Wukong. But yeah, this is kind of where we're at, so it's not amazing. We also take a look at Oblivion Remastered, which I'm sure most people have played. But we have 1080p Ultra, etc., and low ray tracing. We're not even getting an average of 30 frames per second. Now the game is definitely severely unoptimized because it is Unreal Engine 5, and yeah, they didn't do a good job with that. And it's still pretty buggy from last I've seen. But yeah, this is horrible. This is really, really low. And again, we're right around the 7600s, and it's just not great. It's $1,000 to not even get 30 frames on average is kind of insane. When we also take a look at Cyberpunk 1080p Ultra with no ray tracing, we're looking at almost 60 frames per second on average, which is good. But again, we're right above the 3060, the 7600, which is getting 68. So 10 frames better than actually what the Steam machine is getting. But again, it's at the bottom. A game with actual ray tracing, we're taking a look at Cyberpunk at ray tracing 1080p at medium, and we're struggling to average 20 frames per second. We're basically at 21. And then, but we do have some good news, is that they're trying to actually get FSR 4.1 on the Steam machine. So that is some good news. And that's even with trying to save money. Just everything has gone up so much. So really, no way you look at it, it's kind of dire a little bit because your performance really isn't great with games that have been out there, including a remaster. And when we're looking at ray tracing, it definitely makes it worse. And then the price that you're paying without a controller is still over $1,000. We're taking a look at something kind of the equivalent for an actual desktop. This is again, we're looking at a GPU that's RX 7600. 16 gigs of DDR5, which is what the Steam machine has, in a 1 terabyte SSD, and we're looking at $1,200. But the good thing is that you can basically upgrade all of this stuff within reason. You probably definitely get better cooling too, and you can overclock better as well for just an extra $150. That's pretty good. We're taking a look too at kind of with this particular game for benchmarks. 1080p, 30 frames per second. That's actually kind of better than what Black Myth Wukong is getting. And then some of the older games, when we're going to 1040p, this doesn't even play Black Myth Wukong. And then, yeah, 4K is basically impossible, but yeah, you're getting 45 frames per second on other games. We know that, PlayStation 5 base model is basically $650 if you want to pay that, but there are other options out here that are, roughly around $400 or $600. And so, yeah, there's some deals to be had if you're looking for something like that and willing to take the risk. Of course, do your research. But same too with the Xbox. You're looking at some cheaper prices out here. Of course, there's some Series S's, but there's also some Series X's too. But yeah, if it says read description, of course, do your work. But 560 for all of this for a eBay refurbished one, that's actually not bad. And you get your 4K. You get FSR3 for the upscaler, and you actually get some pretty good performance. And you can pretty much hit 60 frames in most games. They optimize them for that, and some of them up to 120, depending on what they are. So, I mean, that's what it is. And so, yeah, this is a rough sell for the Steam machine because who's going to be able to afford this? And again, we've already talked about this on the channel. And my worry too is that it is good that FSR 4.1 is coming to Steam Machine. But again, the fact that I've made a video before, I'll link it at the end screen, that we've basically we're going to be relying now on upscalers to actually get our performance. The idea of buying the hardware for the average guy or even kind of somewhat enthusiast gamer isn't going to be able to afford the prices at this. Because, yeah, when you're making somewhere between 40 and 60,000 a year, how are you going to be able to afford any of this type of stuff? And the games are more expensive, the services are more expensive, the controllers, or anything else. And yeah, this is why a lot of people are going to PC, even the younger generations, because it's simply just cheaper. But even SteamOS isn't going to play everything unless they fix that with SteamOS 3, which was just an update. I will have to look at that. But, is it for you? I mean, it's not for me. I think for most people that are going to be interested in this, that have a Steam library already, they already got a PC. And if they're going to upgrade, maybe they just want to spend just another $150 more and just get another PC where they can upgrade more of the components and stuff. And what is nice is that the RAM and the SSD can be upgraded in the Steam machine. So you can do that, but you can't do anything else. And I also think, too, Digital Foundry would probably be a good one to look at. But, yeah, the 8 gigs of VRAM, I think, is going to be a bit of a struggle, even though SteamOS is more efficient. But also RDNA 3, I think that's going to get old actually pretty quick, especially when we get the next-gen consoles and also Unreal Engine 6. And so, yeah, stuff's going to be pushed more. And is this even going to be able to keep up? I don't know. I think for some people, this is kind of a niche product anyway. I've already thought that. But yeah, my estimate of $900 was off. It's $150. So that also makes me think that the PlayStation 6 is going to be more than $800, which is what I thought. Now I'm thinking more that it's going to be at least $1,000, if not $1,200 for a PlayStation 6. And then that also raises what I think Project Helix is going to be for Xbox, is it's basically a PC pre-build, is what it's going to act like. And yeah, I'm thinking that's going to be like $1,800 or $2,000. Are you guys interested? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Also, if I've earned it, like, sub, all that jazz. With that, folks, I'll see you guys in the next one.